Alright, we are recording, and this one, it relates to Let's Build a Spaceship video, but guess it technically shouldn't be? I don't know. We'll see how I feel when I upload this. Anyway, first things first, Needle Galaxy, that is NGC 4565, and this is actually not a Hubble image, it is a Spitzer image. Spitzer is an infrared space telescope. It's, I don't think, in active use anymore. One issue with infrared telescopes, you need to keep them very cool, and its coolant ran out a few years ago. There were still some instruments that worked, just not anywhere near how they used to. So that's why I'm not sure if they're still using it for anything else. But James Webb covers infrared, so it's possible Spitzer has basically been replaced by that. Anyway, so this video, as I said, I mentioned something about this, and this comes into play. Mentioned a little bit about this in a different video. That was the warp field video, where I talked about how, yeah, I don't really like hyperdrives, hyperspace for superluminal travel, faster than light travel, or wormholes. And this is the wormhole one, because that's a bit easier for me to explain why I dislike it. And it's a bit more interesting, I think, why I dislike it for my fiction. I got nothing wrong with wormholes being used in science fiction, generally speaking. But it is just, for me, no, I don't want to use them. And I'm going to explain why, and this helps. This is just a thing of Silly Putty. But no, right now it's a ball. Now, here's why this is relevant. By the way, I have a few things. I also have a clipboard with... Trust me, it's a clipboard. Flat surface. And then it's an empty pill bottle, but I need something for cutting out a circle. This all makes sense. So the reason why I don't like wormholes, at least the idea of creating one, technically natural ones are fine, but creating one, no, is because of topology, which is where this comes into play, as do the other two. So this is a sphere, okay? Now, if I do this, doesn't look much like a sphere anymore, does it? Yeah, but here's the thing. Topologically speaking, this hasn't changed, because it is still a single continuous surface. It's a different shape, and if I, do these deformations, it appears as a different shape, but it is still a single surface. And if we ignore how the actual folding works, in theory, I could, push this all back into the sphere, into the ball, but obviously, for reality, I need to do it this way, which those folds and that popping actually tells us that this process is not topologically continuous, because holes were made in there. But that's actually kind of the thing, is how would you depict a wormhole with this if the surface, just the surface, is the universe, as opposed to the mass inside, just the surface? Well, for that, need the clipboard. I just need a flat surface to spread it out on. I should really try to do something to... Yeah, see that? Okay. So this is still topologically the same as the ball, because it is a single continuous surface, and here, I'll peel it off to... And actually, I do need to help make a point for how wormholes work. So, let's say you are here, because this is supposed to be the universe, so you're here, and you want to get to this point over here. You'd have to go all the way around. Let's just assume my finger traced out the shortest path as it is now. The idea to a wormhole, put that back. Okay. Is now, if you want to get from, I'm not sure if I wasn't keeping track of the points, but instead of having to go, if this is the point and then on the other side, instead of having to go around this way, you can now go through this way. Because this is now, a path. It's a continuous path. It's an edge, but it is a path. And it'd be nice if I could actually change this, round it, but it has to stay flat, and it's also kind of falling apart. But technically, that's what a wormhole would be. So here, if you'll forgive me for destroying this, I'm just... And there is more to this, by the way. Okay. There. Topologically, it's the same thing as before. We have that hole there, right? But here's the thing. This is not a sphere anymore, because we put this hole into it. And I don't know if it'll show up. It's right there. And this disk it is a continuous again. Here's the funny thing. Look at that, we have a ball again. This is why I don't like wormholes, because in order to make one, you would have to remove pieces from the universe, technically. So you'd be changing the topology of the universe, because this is not the same as a ball. There is no transformation you can make that isn't destructive, that isn't removing points, changing mappings, that will get you from this ball to this donut, essentially, this torus. Okay, there's no means of doing that. It is not possible without changing topological invariants. Which one of them, by the way, would be, does it have a hole? Yes? No. Or rather, 0 and 1. You can't, that's a topological invariant. I really like topology, though. I think I enjoyed that class, though it's been 12 years? Sorry for those of you that know this stuff better than... Actually, no, I take that back. 14 years. I miscounted. It's been a while. But still, it stuck with me. But yeah, so not only do you need to change the topology of the universe to make a wormhole like this, but it's also you're left with this piece. Because yes, you're not going to be able to like drill down until it's some infinitesimal distance, so it's like you're losing that. No, there would be something. And the thing is, it can become its own universe then. Because here's another fun thing about topology. Yeah, I'm going to use this because it's bigger. Right? See how I'm stretching it out? Topology is completely fine with that. Okay. You can do that in topology. It's not an issue. So you could see this stretch out to be that. So it's like, okay, we make a wormhole and we have to make another universe at the same time. This doesn't seem like a good idea. And it is also, I just don't think it would ever be reasonable to believe that you could make a wormhole, that you could change the topology of the universe. Now, if one already existed, that's fine. But, yeah. Now, to be fair, in a lot of science fiction, in Star Trek, well, there are some natural wormholes, I think, in Star Trek, but obviously the most famous wormhole in Star Trek is the Bajoran wormhole in Deep Space Nine. That is actually described as an artificial wormhole. That it is the prophets who made it. And then obviously there's the whole Stargate series where all of that is an artificial wormhole. The way they describe wormholes in Star Trek, even the natural ones, actually I don't like that. I don't think that's an accurate description. Whereas in Stargate, they do actually describe that, yes, it is artificial, just doesn't come up too often, and they seem to just talk about generically wormhole physics. It's like not necessarily how a natural wormhole would work. An artificial wormhole, sure, but natural, not so much. Now, I do still have issues with it, but I did watch, because it was streaming however long ago, Interstellar. The visual depiction of that wormhole actually makes sense, where it looked like just an orb floating in space that gave you a completely different window into the universe. But importantly, a three-dimensional window. So it's like a orb sitting there, a bubble sitting there. So it's not just a... I don't really... Well, yeah, let's... It's not just, hey, I'm looking through and seeing something. No, it is something sitting there that from all directions is actually going to be giving you a different view, because you'd be looking through... I have to go right back to the torus. You'd be looking through and seeing, like, if you're standing here and looking that way, you're seeing over here, which you couldn't before. You would normally, if you were looking this way, seeing up here, because open the hole. So that depiction, I do actually, that makes sense. That would be accurate. To my understanding of wormholes, to be fair. But the depiction inside of it when they're traveling through, it's like, no, traveling through a natural wormhole, at least, I know that's also an artificial wormhole. But traveling through one should be no different from traveling through normal space. So some of the stuff they were depicting there, it really should be, because, yeah, I'm just trying to, like, smooth out the inner ring. But, I mean, it's, where's the difference? I mean, you can tell I'm twisting, but technically, if you couldn't tell I was twisting, you wouldn't know, is this Silly Putty, is this point on Silly Putty, was that originally the outside, or was that an inside? You don't know. Here, let me see if I can do that a little bit more cleanly. Well, actually, let's just do cross-section. So imagine this loops back around. Is this point on the outside or on the inside? You don't know because it can be bent either way. I know there was a point to that, but I got a little distracted having to take care of the Silly Putty. Sorry about that. I'm trying to just run through what I was talking about in my mind. And trying to fill dead spaces actually and keep me from thinking about it. Oh yeah, that's right. That being within the wormhole, let's say this is the inner ring, so this is where the wormhole is. This is no different from this. So the idea that traveling through it, space and time gets all wonky, it's like, it doesn't need to. It really doesn't. So yeah. Now, while I have talked about how I don't really like this idea of artificial wormholes, like I doubt I would write some fiction that would use it. Maybe. Because it's science fiction. I'd be free to do whatever. It's just, can I explain it? That's my hang up with it, is can I explain how this works? I don't think I can. I don't think I could do it to my satisfaction, so it won't happen. But a natural wormhole, that I could do. Need to make my wormhole again. Need to flatten that out. Okay. So, have that hole again. And I wish I could make it smaller, but it's just not that easy. Here's a neat thing, though, because what is my big issue with the wormholes? Topological invariance. Like, I don't think you can put a hole in the universe. Technically two, because it's, this, you cut... I know, I just made it and I have to end it. You'd have to cut out... Here. That's a little bit better. You'd have to cut out this surface, and then that surface, and then you're just connecting the edges that you're left with. So actually, because of how I did that, like that, you'd have to, like, you'd be cutting off like that, and then having to join it back up to get that smooth, continuous feel-like surface on the outside. But you'd have that hole on the inside, which, the torus. So while there are those issues, it is still technically with topology. Can take that hole and can move it. And that's perfectly alright. Actually, that kind of worked. How it's sealed up there, that's fine. So, I had thought of it. I don't know what story I would necessarily tell with it, but I do have the idea. To have, like, well, what if humanity discovered a natural wormhole, but then also discovered a way to move it? That you could do. That I wouldn't have a problem with, because that doesn't touch on any topological changes to the universe. It's just the geometry technically changes, because the position of the hole goes from here to over there, maybe, and then this is sealed up. Something sort of like that. Silly Putty isn't perfect for that. If I could do 3D editing, 3D animation and stuff like that, maybe, but I ain't learning that. That's beyond me, and I know it. But it's like, yeah, that story I could definitely do. That would be fine, because it's like, well, no, it just naturally exists. We're figuring out how to apply it. Yeah. I don't think I have anything more for this. I guess I can do this. Because my issue with hyperspace is really short. I'm just trying to think what would be the best way. I could use a clipboard, except it likes disappearing on me like that. Nope. I was curious if that would let you see the galaxy behind. Okay. No, this'll work. Well enough. Okay. Remember what I said, how Silly Putty is the universe? The surface of it is it's the universe? Okay. This is my issue with hyperspace. I can draw a map. Here we go. From here to there. Okay, I have 2 points, and I can go... Wow, I actually connected them. Do that, can do that, can do that. Have all those paths. Okay, that was weird. Here's what I don't like about hyperspace. If I can get it, come on. I don't want to just turn. I need to change OBS so I can like have it cropped. Is that hyperspace? The idea for that is in order to get from point A to point B, you go from here to here, because this is somehow faster and actually does make sense because this is easier to move through than the Silly Putty. You do that and then you just boop, pop back there. I don't like that because that means this map of the universe, you having to go all outside of it and then come back in. Okay, kind of like how I was going. Hang on, let's see. Can I get myself to disappear again? Nope. Oh, there we go. My hand is still here. Wrong hand. Oop. Kind of like how I just disappeared from the cam view and now I'm back. I mean, that's why I don't like. I don't like this idea that, oh yeah, we can just pop out and pop back in. How? what is the movement from there? How do you draw that on a map? With wormholes, you can. You're just changing the map a lot. That's why I don't like it. But yeah, okay. Silly Putty works for science. Well, science fiction at least. All right. I wish I had more, but that's it. See you next time.